Hello. So I obviously haven't been active on YouTube for the last 2 weeks, and I think you can guess why. On the 25th of May, George Floyd was sadly murdered by Minneapolis police. I'm not going to mention the officers' names. I don't think they deserve any more recognition than they have already got. I took some time off of YouTube because I just didn't feel right uploading my usual content. Like, I really didn't, and this is why I wanted to film this video to put up there first. Some of the big people that I follow, I'm not... See, this is where I get like on the fence. Like, no one's expecting you to upload these videos, but I think it just says a lot if you've got such a big platform and you haven't said anything at all. Like, I have been very, very vocal on my Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. But these past 2 weeks, I have been really educating myself, because I would say that I was quite naive to it, but then at the same time, it's not just down to my naivety. Anything that happens in America, because obviously Britain is racist, as we've seen the last few days. If you're on Twitter, you would have seen a lot of the protests for anti-Black Lives Matter protests, and it's just disgusting. You're not even protesting for anything, you're trying to protect a statue by fighting the police. Whereas last week you were just calling all the Black Lives Matter protests scum because some of them were getting in a fight with the police. Make it make sense. But anyway, where I live in quite a small town in Scotland, and it is predominantly white. In primary school I had one black boy in the full school, and in secondary school I'm sure there was one black boy in the school. So it is a very small majority of black people. Right now I can count on both hands the amount of black people I personally know that live around me, that live locally. So it isn't such a big thing. I was obviously quite naive, and obviously some things in America they don't get shown, so that's why I didn't really know as much of this happened as it still does, because there's not a lot of media coverage when something happens, unless someone videos it and it goes viral, like what just happened to George Floyd. So that kind of sparked everything, right? So that sparked me being like, well, I'm gonna go investigate, I'm gonna educate myself. I read through 105 cases of police brutality towards black people, and I'm shocked at what I found. Now, some of the things that I found was crazy. When I read these cases, it's crazy to think, like, if I got stopped for that, would I end up killed? No, I wouldn't. No, I would not. And that is what I've been trying to explain to ignorant people on Facebook mostly about. Like, look at the same crime, different charge. Black people always get the higher charge. And people are saying it's fair, it's not racism, but it is. Why are they getting a different charge because of the colour of their skin? Or even, like, a petty drug crime for a black person, 40+ years. That boy, I'm not going to name his name, that boy who raped a girl, what was it, 6 months? What? Like, what? Now, it's actually been frustrating me the last 2 weeks trying to explain to people their white privilege and how certain things are racist, but they're just not getting it. But that is just having too much white privilege and just being ignorant, and, you know, have your own views but not around me, because that's just not going to happen. Another argument that has been brought up is more white people get killed by police. Well, obviously, because white people take up about 72% of the US population, right? But look at where they are, the percentage of black people in this area, percentage of black people in this area, and then you look at the crimes. It's not just about the amount of people, it is about the reason, the obvious hate, like hate stopping. I'm stopping you because you're black, you look like you've got a gun, even though it's a rolled up magazine, right? then you look at the treatment that black and white people get. They're completely different, right? Some boy shot up a school. He's sitting, bottle of water to his mouth. If a black person, the black person wouldn't even step outside that school because they would have already been shot in the school. They wouldn't be able to sit beside a police car and have a drink of water. Try to tell me that that is not down to racism. Right, okay. Anyway, so I know I'm a bit all over the place. I do want to inform, and obviously there is lots of petitions that still need signed. I don't even know how many petitions I've signed over the last few weeks, and I'm still signing. Just keep signing. Sign in, get them out there, promote it, do everything you can. And if you don't want to go to a protest, that's absolutely fine, because obviously we're still in the midst of a bloody pandemic, but do what you can to support this movement. So I will leave a link of petitions that still need signed, everything like that in the down bar. This video was more of just me trying to get my thoughts out and kind of speak about everything I just want to speak about. And if you don't think that's my place to do that, then that is absolutely fine, but I just needed to get this out, my thoughts on everything and just everything. So it is a bit of a ramble. I want to bring light to some cases that have not been brought to justice. Now there is so much more. Out of the 100 and whatever that I read, hardly anyone was brought to justice. Hardly any were brought to justice, which is just absolutely so sad. So sad. But I'm going to go through a few that I want to mention that haven't been brought to justice. Sorry if I mispronounce any of these names, but you get the gist. So the first one we have is TRAYVON Martin, and he was a 17-year-old walking home from a convenience store after buying some snacks. A neighbourhood watch person assumed he was suspicious. Why? Because he was black? I don't get it. I don't get why people are scared of a skin colour. I really don't get it. A 911 dispatcher told him not to pursue it. He did anyways, and fatally shot Martin 70 yards from his home. His killer, George Zimmerman, was not convicted of any charges. TAMIR Rice. He was a 12-year-old playing with a fake gun in the park. The 911 call that reported him noted that he was probably a juvenile and that the gun was probably fake. But in an encounter that only took 2 seconds, the police pulled up and shot TAMIR twice. It was revealed after that his killer had been previously fired as an officer for being emotionally unstable. His killer, Timothy Lohman, was not convicted of any charges. BREONNA Taylor. This is a big case right now. So BREONNA Taylor was a 26-year-old African-American emergency room technician who was asleep in her bed with her husband when law enforcement broke in without warning. They were in the wrong house investigating a case unrelated to the couple. After a brief confrontation, they shot at least 8 shots into Taylor. Not one of the officers involved in her killing has been charged. Now, I think it's a bit fucked up. Passed a law that doesn't allow like no knock. So basically, you can't just enter someone's house, you need to knock, but they can't bring our killers to justice. I don't get that. Philando Castile was a 32-year-old African-American man who was driving with his girlfriend and her 4-year-old daughter. He was pulled over in a traffic stop. He informed the officer that he had carried a gun but was still reaching for his licence. Still, the officer shot him close range several times. His killer, Geronimo Yanez, was not convicted of any charges. Anthony Hill was a black US Air Force veteran with 7 medals from his service, but suffered from bipolar disorder and PTSD. During a mental health crisis, he had stripped naked and wandered his apartment complex looking for medicine. 911 was originally called in order to get him medical help. When the police showed up, they shot the obviously unarmed Hill twice. His killer, Robert Olson, was not convicted of any murder/manslaughter charges. Oscar Grant was a 22-year-old man who was on his way home from a New Year's Eve party. Police arrived at Fruitvale Bar in response to an altercation which had already ended. The suspected Grant was involved and pinned him down. While pinned down, unarmed and begging not to be tased, Grant was shot in the back by the police. His killer, Johannes Messeril, was only convicted of involuntary manslaughter. Eric Garner. Now this one really hurt to read when I researched this case. Was suspected of selling single cigarettes. He was approached by the police and said that he doesn't know why they are always harassing him and that he is not selling. Multiple officers then attempted to arrest Garner, where they wrestled him to the ground and restrained him. Before being strangled to death, he said, "I can't breathe," 11 times. Sound familiar? His killer, Daniel Pantaleo, was not charged or convicted. ATATIANA Jefferson was a 28-year-old woman who was shot and killed in her Fort Worth home after a neighbour called the police for a wellness check because her front door was reportedly open. She was playing video games with her 8-year-old nephew when she was killed. The body cam footage showed she was shot within 4 seconds of the officer arriving. Her killer, Aaron Dean, is yet to be convicted. Yvette Smith was a 47-year-old former caretaker who called the police after trying to quell a dispute between 2 men. When Smith opened her door, the responding officer yelled police and shot her 3 seconds later with his personal AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. Her killer, Daniel Willis, was cleared of all murder charges. Right, that is all the ones I have for now for cases that still have not been brought to justice that I thought would be worth mentioning. So as I have said, sign the petitions. I will leave links down below to the petitions that still need signatures. Now, we can do it. We can do it. It takes 2 seconds to sign a petition. Get the word out there. Use your platform, especially if you've got a big platform. Like, I don't even have a big platform and I'm still wanting to put this out there. Sign petitions, send money if you can, and if not, there is videos that you can watch online that all AdSense goes to these different charities that need money. Okay, watch those videos. Right, if you don't want to sit and watch it, play it in the background, let the ads run. And if you feel comfortable, go to protests. If you don't, that's fine. Just make sure you're doing it in like you're just doing something. Don't sit and do nothing. And obviously a lot of it's at home as well. Like if you have racist parents, racist friends, racist anything, correct them. That's where it starts. If you let it slide, it's going to continue and get worse. One other thing I want to talk about as well. Now, with this going on and this being very, very viral, you'd think the police would be like, oh, shit, let's not do that. A lot of these protests that I've been seeing, the priests are alright, the police are like instigating a lot of the riots. They're smashing shops and doing this and doing that, so it gives the black people a bad image when it's not. Like, we've got videos of you, like we've seen it, it's you, stop. But it's really getting to me like going into medical tents and gassing them. What are you doing? You're just making it so much worse. Like, there is going to come to a time that is just going to be absolute carnage and the police are going to get it bad. Like, they really will. They need to take a step back and be like, shit, like, we're that bad. But they're just using their power, they're abusing their power to do what they want, stabbing water bottles and that so you can't go and get a drink or wash tear gas out your eyes. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And like all these peaceful protests, like just gassing them. Like, who do you think you are? Like, what actually gives you that right to just gas someone for no reason? And gassing that little toddler, that pissed me right off. Like, who do you think you are? Like, what are you doing? I just think like none of these officers would be as tough without gas, taser, gun. What a great concept the police would be without any of that. I know I have been basing a lot of this video on the US, but obviously it goes on in Britain and other countries as well. So I will link a few petitions that need signed in the UK down below as well, because we still need signatures for those cases. But yeah, I know this video was a bit all over the place, but I just needed to get my thoughts out on everything that's been happening. I've tried to keep it as structured as possible, but yeah, I have a lot more I could say, but a lot of more of what I want to say is just the stupidity and ignorance that I've been faced with like on social media, and I'm just not going to bring that negativity there because I know my morals are right. I'm all for basic human rights, which black people clearly don't get. So I hope you managed to get through this video without pulling your hair out, because I'm so all over the place, but I just needed to get it out, get it up, and yeah. So I'm now going to put a little slideshow in about some other cases that I did read about, just who they were, their age, and what they were doing that resulted in their death. Some of them are absolutely gobsmacking and so sad. But what I want to do now, I feel like I'm really passionate about this Black Lives Matter movement, and I've never been before because I was really naive to it. I didn't think it went on as much, and it's mental, it's crazy. But in the future I'm going to be uploading my usual content, but I'm also going to be incorporating a case every now and again. A case that I think needs spoken about, that's not well known, because half of these cases I was reading I was like never heard of before, didn't even know this was a case. So I'm going to bring light to it as much as I can. I only have a small platform, but I thought if I'm doing it, you never know, it could get out there. So yeah, I will be videoing some cases incorporated with my usual content, so I'm not staying quiet. I'm not just doing this for a few weeks then that's me done. No, it's not how it works. So yeah, I would say I hope you enjoyed this video, but I don't think it's been a very enjoyable one to watch or talk about or listen to, but I'm just going to roll the slideshow and I will see you in my next video. Black Lives Matter. John Crawford, Michael Brown, Azelle Ford, Dante Parker, Michelle Cussox, Laquan McDonald, Tanisha Anderson, Akai Gurley, Romaine Brisbane, Jeremy Reed, Matthew Ajibade, Frank Smart, Natasha McKenna, Tony Robinson, Maya Hall, Philip White, Eric Harris, Walter Scott, William Chapman, Alexia Christian, Brendan Glenn, Jonathan Sanders, Salvador Ellswood, Sandra Bland, Albert Joseph Davis, Darius Stewart, Samuel DeBose, Michael Sabe, Christian Taylor, Ashams Farrell Manley, Felix Kumi, Keith Harrison McLeod, Junior Prosper, Tyree Crawford, Lamontes Jones, India Kager, Levante Biggs, Patterson Brown, Dominic Hutchison, Anthony Ashford, Michael Lee Marshall, Jamar Clark, Richard Perkins, Nathaniel Harris Pickett, Miguel Espinal, Kevin Wilson, Michael Knoll, Betty Jones and Quintonio Legrier, Keith Childress, Janet Wilson, Randy Nelson, Anthony Scott, David Joseph, Callan Rockmore, Deshaun Perkins, Peter Gaines, Darius Robinson, Demarcus Semer, Willie Tillman, Terrell Thomas, Joseph Mann, Alton Sterling, Paul O'Neill, Sybil Smith, Terence Croucher, Keith Lamont Scott,